You might have seen the headlines recently about former NBA star Gilbert Arenas, his arrest on gambling-related charges. Now, on the surface, okay, maybe it looks like just another celebrity story, right? Personal struggles. But what our sources are digging into suggests it's actually, well, a window into something much bigger, more systemic. So today we're doing a deep dive into material from Devin McClarty, owned by D Investment Enterprise, LLC. Specifically, it's titled Betting the Culture When Influence Turns into Debt.
Exactly. And our goal here really is to unpack the pretty complex dynamics of this huge sports gambling boom. We're going to look at how celebrity influence gets used, who really benefits from all this, and importantly, the economic consequences that often stay hidden but, ripple out. We'll pull out the key insights from these sources, trying to give you a clearer picture of what's become a very, very pervasive trend.
Yeah, that Arenas headline, it's like the perfect starting point, isn't it? Because the sources, they don't just stop at his individual situation. They use it to pivot immediately. They suggest his arrest wasn't just like out of the blue, maybe almost predictable. I mean, they phrase it as him getting paid to push FanDuel and DraftKings harder than a mixtape in 2006. That's pretty direct language. Sets the tone.
It really does. And what's key here is how the sources then build on this idea of the front man. It sort of flips the usual celebrity endorsement idea around. It suggests that influence is systematically turned into basically the marketing wing of the casino. That's the quote. So it's less about individual choice, more about a system where entertainment and, well, potential exploitation get blurred, leading, as the sources put it, an entire generation betting their rent away, thinking they're going to run it up like an NBA vet. It's a really sharp critique, how that cultural pull gets used.
And it's not just a general kind of push, is it? The sources are very specific. They talk about the targeting of Black audiences through podcasts and influencers. That's a strong claim. What do the sources say makes this look deliberate, not just, organic reach?
Well, the way the sources present it, it's definitely framed as strategic, calculated. They suggest these companies aren't just throwing ads out there broadly. They're specifically aligning with cultural spaces, podcasts, personalities where these audiences are already deeply engaged. Seeing these platforms constantly show up isn't random. It's presented as a direct investment, leveraging trust, cultural relevance, basically to get new users signed up, reaching people where they are through voices they trust. That's the idea.
Okay, so this marketing wing of the casino concept, using celebrities, it leads right into what feels like a central critique in these sources. This huge disconnect, right, between gambling being marketed through the culture, but, as they say, never built by it.
That's a really critical distinction. The sources hammer home. They stress that, okay, the cultural vibe, the energy, the popularity, that's all harnessed to sell it. But the actual ownership, the structural power, that's completely outside, elsewhere. And this isn't just a side point for them. It's fundamental to the whole economic picture they're painting.
Right, the ownership gap. It's stark when you put it like that. Almost, ironic. The sources are blunt.
Yeah.
None of these platforms are Black-owned. So the culture becomes the customer again. That, again, hits hard. We promote what we don't control. It's like this repeating pattern. Cultural capital gets used, but the economic control stays somewhere else. So thinking back to Arenas pushing these platforms, it's framed not just as his personal thing, but him being part of that larger system, promoting something the culture doesn't own. He himself doesn't own the table in that system.
Exactly. And to really drive that point home, the sources use this really potent kind of jarring metaphor. They create this satirical ad concept for something called liquor and losses. Imagine hearing lines like, where you buy bottles, but never ownership. Oof. And then this dry follow-up, you bet on the same system you refuse to build. It's meant to be uncomfortable, right? To make you stop and think about where the engagement, the money, actually goes. And that final line they suggest, now accepting FanDuel deposits and your last $40, that's a sharp little jab, isn't it? Highlighting that vulnerability. The whole mock ad just perfectly sums up their theme. You're putting energy and cash into systems where you have no structural stake.
Which leads us straight into the grim side. The financial ruin. It creates such a harsh contrast with all the slick, high-energy marketing you see everywhere. This gap between the promise and the reality, it's a huge theme in the sources.
Yeah.
What do they say about the actual, real-world fallout?
It's pretty stark, the picture they paint. They say, nobody's mad when people win $200. Small wins are fine, but when rent's due and they're broke, they're not calling DraftKings, they're calling grandma. That really illustrates how the financial burden gets pushed outwards. Onto individuals, yes, but also crucially onto their personal support networks, family, friends. Not onto the platforms taking the bets. The house wins, sure, but the individual loss can spread much further than just the money bet.
Wow. And there's that phrase the sources use. It sticks with you. They call this entertainment, but it's poverty in HD.
Hmm.
Poverty in HD. It really makes you visualize those glossy ads, right? The fast cuts, the excitement, and then contrast it with the potential reality behind the screen. It's powerful. It means that slick, high-def surface. It's masking, for many people, real financial hardship.
Precisely. And that ties directly back to our deep dive title, When Influence Turns into Debt. It underlines how these promotional strategies, often pushed by influencers people trust, can lead people into situations where they feel financially stuck, their wallets locked up too, as the source material puts it. It's a stark reminder that what feels like just fun in games can quickly become a serious weight.
Okay, so if that's the problem, this cycle of influence leading to potential debt and lack of ownership, what's the alternative? Do the sources offer a way out? They don't just critique, right? They offer advice.
They do, and this is where you get that really powerful central idea from the builder and the sources. If you don't own the table, you're the one being played.
Mm,
The significance there is huge. It's basically saying, look, if you don't have ownership or control of the economic setup, the platform, the business, whatever it is, you're fundamentally at a disadvantage. Your participation benefits others more than it benefits you, structurally speaking. You're kind of like a piece on someone else's board, not the player moving the pieces.
right. And the direct advice that follows really crystallizes that. Bet on structure, not slogans. That's clear. Own the platform, or you'll always be the promo code. Wow. That's a real call to action, isn't it? It's saying focus on building and controlling the economic engines within your own community. Don't just get caught up in the marketing hype and be a consumer in systems owned by others. It's about building your own table, essentially, not just hoping for good cards at someone else's. So wrapping this up, this deep dive, it really wasn't just about Gilbert Arenas' situation, was it? It was about using that as a lens to see this bigger picture, this whole intersection of culture, influence, money, and sports gambling, especially how it impacts certain communities and the very real financial outcomes involved.
Exactly. And maybe a final thought to leave you with, something to chew on. Based on that idea of ownership and control, ask yourself, what systems are you currently putting your time, your money, your influence into, where maybe you don't actually own the table?
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope it gave you some valuable things to consider.